Captain Jake Morrison sat in the cold metal chair and looked around the giant room. The Galactic Council chamber was bigger than 3 football fields put together. 47 different alien species filled the seats around him. Some looked like giant bugs. Others glowed like living fire. A few resembled large lizards with sharp teeth. Jake had been coming to these meetings for 5 years. Every time he hoped things would be different. Every time the aliens treated humans like they were stupid children. Dr. Lisa Grant sat next to him. She was the smartest person Jake knew. Lisa understood alien cultures better than anyone on Earth. She had spent her whole life trying to build bridges between humans and other species. Today, she looked tired and sad. Commander Ben Parker stood behind them. Ben was in charge of keeping the human team safe. His hand rested near his weapon, though he knew it would be useless against so many aliens. Ben had fought in 3 wars before becoming a diplomat's guard. He had never felt as helpless as he did in these meetings. The session began when a tall, thin alien walked to the center of the room. This was Speaker Vorth, who ran the council meetings. He looked like a walking stick insect but was as tall as a basketball player. The council will now hear from the human delegation, Vorth said in a bored voice. Jake stood up slowly. He had practiced his speech 100 times. This was humanity's last chance to join the galactic community as equals. Honored members of the council, Jake began. For 50 years, humanity has tried to earn its place among you. We have offered our resources, our labor, and our loyalty. We have asked only for fair treatment and equal rights. A sound like buzzing filled the room. The insect-like aliens were laughing. Zethkri, their queen, rose from her seat. She was twice as tall as Jake and had 4 arms. Her black eyes looked at him like he was a bug she might step on. Equal rights? She clicked in her strange voice. Your species has been in space for less than 100 years. My people have traveled the stars for 10,000 years. What could you possibly offer us? More laughter came from around the room. Jake felt his face get hot with anger, but he kept his voice calm. We offer innovation, Jake said. Human scientists have solved problems that have puzzled the galaxy for centuries. Our doctors have created new medicines. Our engineers have designed better ships and machines. A ball of glowing light floated down from the upper seats. This was Valdris from the Ethereal Collective. The energy being's voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. Crude solutions to simple problems, Valdris said. We have technologies beyond your understanding. Your metals and circuits are like stone tools to us. Dr. Grant stood up next to Jake. She held a small device in her hands. This medical scanner can detect diseases in any known species, Lisa said. It can find problems weeks before your best equipment. We want to share this technology freely with all council members. We already have medical scanners, growled a voice from the back. Kron of the Scaled Empire pushed forward. He looked like a dinosaur wearing armor. His yellow eyes glowed with contempt. Your toys are amusing, but useless to advanced civilizations. Jake tried again. What about trade agreements? Humans are willing to work hard. We can mine asteroids, build stations, and crew your ships. All we ask is fair payment and respect. This brought the loudest laughter yet. Several aliens actually fell out of their seats. Kron's deep laugh sounded like rocks grinding together. Work hard? Kron roared. Yes, humans are good workers. You should be grateful we allow you to serve us. Not every species gets such an honor. The room erupted in agreement. Aliens nodded and made sounds Jake recognized as approval. He felt something cold settle in his stomach. Serve you? Jake asked quietly. Of course, Zethkri said. Every species has its place in the galactic order. Strong species lead. Weak species follow. Smart species think. Simple species work. Humans are very good at working. Valdris floated. Closer. Your species shows promise as laborers and soldiers. Some of you might even become decent technicians with proper training. But leadership, planning, these require intelligence humans do not possess. Jake looked around the room. Every alien face showed the same expression. Some looked amused, others looked bored. None looked like they saw humans as equals. He had spent 5 years trying to change their minds. He had brought Earth's best scientists, diplomats, and leaders to these meetings. Nothing had worked. The aliens saw humans as useful animals. Nothing more. "We have offered partnership," Jake said, his voice getting harder. "We have offered friendship. We have offered our knowledge and our strength. What must we do to earn your respect?" "Accept your place," Kron said simply. "Stop pretending to be something you are not. Be grateful for what you have been given." The room went quiet. Jake could hear his own heartbeat. Lisa put her hand on his arm, but he barely felt it. 50 years of trying. 50 years of hoping. All for nothing. Jake began gathering the papers and data drives from the table in front of him. His movements were slow and careful. The aliens watched with mild interest, like people watching a street performer. "Captain Morrison," Forth asked, "do you have a response to the Council's generous offer?" Jake finished packing the human materials. He looked around the room one more time. These aliens controlled most of the galaxy. They had technologies humans could barely understand. They had power beyond imagination. They also had no idea what they were about to lose. "Talks have failed," Jake said in a clear, steady voice. "Humanity formally withdraws from all galactic accords, treaties, and negotiations. We will handle our own affairs from this point forward." The silence lasted for exactly 3 seconds. Then the laughter started again, louder than before. "Audie, your own affairs?" Zethkri clicked with amusement. "Good luck with that, little humans." Jake walked toward the exit. Lisa and Ben followed him. Behind them, the aliens were already moving on to other business. The human problem had been solved by removing humans from the equation. As they reached the door, Jake heard Kron's voice one last time. Perhaps now they will learn their proper place in the universe. The door closed behind them with a soft hiss. In the hallway, Lisa finally spoke. "What happens now?" she asked. Jake looked back at the massive doors of the council chamber. Somewhere, inside, 47 species were congratulating themselves on handling the human problem so easily. "Now we show them what humans can really do," Jake said, "when we are not trying to please anyone else." The 3 humans walked away from the council chamber. Behind them, the galaxy continued its business, confident that the human annoyance had been dealt with permanently. They had no idea how wrong they were. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of her flagship and watched the stars. 6 months had passed since Jake Morrison walked out of the Galactic Council chamber. 6 months since humanity said goodbye to trying to please aliens who would never respect them. Today was the day they would see how much the galaxy really needed humans. "All human ships, this is Admiral Sullivan," she spoke into her communicator. "Operation Clean Slate begins now. Recall all personnel from alien facilities. Leave nothing behind that can help them." Across the galaxy, human workers stopped what they were doing. In asteroid mining stations, human engineers shut down the machines they had built and maintained. On alien worlds, human doctors packed their medical equipment and walked away from hospitals they had been running for decades. Director Paul Chen sat in his office on Earth and smiled as reports came in. The aliens thought humans were just simple workers. They had no idea how much their civilizations depended on human knowledge and skills. "Sir, the mining station at Kepler 442 is reporting problems," his assistant said. "The aliens can't restart the ore processors after our people left." "Good," Paul said. "What about the medical facilities?" "The Zephyrian hospital on Proxima is having issues with their surgical equipment. Turns out our doctors were the only ones who knew how to calibrate the machines properly." Paul nodded. The aliens had been so busy looking down on humans that they never bothered to learn how human-built systems actually worked. They just assumed their own people could figure it out easily. Engineer Mike Torres was having the best day of his career. For 15 years, he had maintained the life support systems on Galactic Station 7. The alien engineers had always treated him like a janitor, even though he had designed half the station's critical systems. Now he was taking those systems apart. "Mike, are you sure about this?" asked his human colleague Jerry. "If we remove the atmospheric recyclers, the station might have problems." Mike looked at the complex machinery he had built with his own hands. The aliens had never bothered to understand how it worked. They just knew that Mike kept the air clean and fresh for 40,000 residents. They said they had better technology than us, Mike said as he disconnected another component. Let them prove it. On the other side of the galaxy, Dr. Amy Foster was packing up her research notes. She had spent 5 years working on a joint project to cure a disease that affected 3 different alien species. The alien scientists had taken credit for all the breakthroughs, but Amy had done most of the actual work. Dr. Foster, you cannot leave now, said Dr. Vexith, her alien colleague. We are so close to a cure. Amy closed her briefcase and looked at the insect-like alien. You always said human science was primitive. I'm sure you can finish the work without my crude methods. Dr. Vexith's antennae twitched nervously. But the protein synthesis requires your specific knowledge of human biochemistry techniques. Then you should have paid attention when I tried to teach you, Amy said. She walked out of the laboratory, leaving Dr. Vexith staring at equations he could not solve. President Elena Rodriguez watched the reports coming in from across human space. The withdrawal was happening faster than anyone had expected. Humans were eager to leave places where they had been treated poorly for decades. Madam President, we're getting communication requests from several alien governments, her aide reported. They want to negotiate new worker contracts. Elena laughed. Tell them we're not taking calls from the galactic community anymore. They made it clear we're not equals, so we're not their servants either. The first real problems started showing up 3 weeks later. The mining station at Kepler 442 had been producing rare metals that 17 different alien civilizations needed for their technology. Without human engineers to run the complex extraction process, production dropped to almost nothing. The Zephyrian hospital had to close 2 entire wings because their surgical equipment kept breaking down. Patients were being transferred to other facilities, but those were getting overcrowded quickly. Galactic Station 7 declared a yellow alert when their air recycling system started producing strange smells. The alien engineers tried to fix the problem but couldn't understand the human-designed systems. The station's population started complaining about headaches and breathing problems. Admiral Sullivan received a priority message from Galactic Command, requesting immediate human assistance with technical difficulties. She deleted the message without reading it fully. Admiral, shouldn't we at least respond? Asked Captain Lucy Martinez, one of Sullivan's younger officers. They wanted us to know our place, Sullivan said. Our place is apparently not at their table, so our place is not at their beck and call either. The economic effects spread like ripples through the galaxy. Human colonies had been major suppliers of food, manufactured goods, and raw materials. When human ships stopped making deliveries, supply chains that had existed for decades suddenly broke. The scaled empire discovered that humans had been running their quantum communication network. When the human technicians left, messages between different parts of the empire started taking days instead of minutes to arrive. Zethkri's hive worlds found that their food production was dropping rapidly. Human agricultural specialists had developed new growing techniques that increased crop yields by 300%. Without humans to maintain the systems, the improvements were failing. Director Chen smiled as he read intelligence reports about the growing problems. They're starting to panic, he told President Rodriguez during their weekly meeting. Some of the smaller species are quietly asking their neighbors about contacting us directly. What should we tell them? Nothing yet. Let them figure out exactly how much they need us. Then maybe they'll be ready to talk as equals. The galaxy had run smoothly for thousands of years before humans arrived. But in just 50 years, human contributions had become deeply woven into alien civilizations. The aliens had been so busy dismissing human intelligence that they never realized how dependent they had become on human work. Now that work was gone, and the galaxy was starting to feel the cold. On Earth, humans were already making new plans. Without having to serve alien masters, human scientists and engineers could focus on their own projects. New research facilities were being built. New ships were being designed. New colonies were being planned in unexplored space. The aliens thought they had solved the human problem by putting humans in their place. What they had actually done was free humanity to find its own place in the universe. and that place was going to be much bigger than the aliens had imagined. Dr. Ryan Hayes looked at the numbers on his screen and smiled. 2 years had passed since humanity left the galactic community. 2 years of working without alien rules telling them what they could and could not research. The results were amazing. We did it, Ryan said to his team. The new drive system works. We can travel 10 times faster than anything the galaxy has ever seen. His assistant, Dr. Carol Webb, checked the data again. Are you sure? This would make human ships faster than even the ethereal collective's energy vessels. I'm sure, Ryan said. Without the Galactic Science Council telling us that human physics was wrong, we could finally test our real theories. Turns out we were right about quantum space folding. The research station where Ryan worked floated in empty space between star systems. It was one of 12 secret facilities that humanity had built since leaving galactic space. No aliens knew they existed. No alien rules limited what humans could study here. Captain Lucy Martinez stood in the command center of the newest human ship. The vessel was unlike anything humans had built before. It was sleek, fast, and armed with weapons that could punch holes through asteroid belts. Navigation, set course for the Omega sector, Lucy ordered. Let's see what's out there. Captain, that area is marked as forbidden by the Galactic Council, her navigator said. No species is allowed to explore there. Lucy laughed. We're not part of the Galactic Council anymore. Their rules don't apply to us. The ship jumped to faster than light speed. In seconds, they crossed distances that would have taken old human ships weeks to travel. The Omega sector had been off limits for 1,000 years. The aliens claimed it was too dangerous for exploration. What Lucy found there changed everything. Captain, you need to see this, her science officer reported. We're detecting massive mineral deposits. Rare elements that don't exist anywhere else in known space. Lucy looked at the scanner readings. The forbidden sector contained enough rare materials to power human civilization for 10,000 years. The aliens had kept this secret while telling other species that such resources were scarce. Professor Dan Kim worked in a laboratory that looked like something from a science fiction movie. Robots moved through the space building devices that would have seemed impossible just 3 years ago. Advanced computers calculated problems that human minds couldn't even understand. The Artificial Intelligence Project is ready for testing, Dan told his colleague, Dr. Frank Stone. This AI can process information faster than any organic brain in the galaxy. What about the restrictions? The Galactic Council banned AI research after the robot wars 300 years ago. Dan smiled. The Galactic Council can ban whatever they want in their space. This is human space now. We make our own rules. The AI came online and immediately began solving problems that had puzzled human scientists for decades. Within hours, it had designed better engines, stronger materials, and more efficient weapons. It was like having a genius scientist who never got tired and never made mistakes. Chief Nancy Brown stood on an asteroid that was being hollowed out by human mining machines. The machines worked faster and more efficiently than anything the galaxy had ever seen. They could extract pure metals from rock that other species considered worthless. How much are we producing? Nancy asked her foreman, Bill Adams. 3 times more than our old operations in galactic space, Bill said. And that's just from this one asteroid. We've found 12 more like it in this system alone. Nancy nodded. Free from alien quotas and restrictions, human industry was growing at an incredible rate. The aliens had always limited how much humans could produce, claiming it would upset the galactic economy. Now humans could see that the real reason was to keep other species dependent on alien suppliers. General Sam Wright reviewed the reports from human military research centers. The weapons his scientists had developed made the old human fleet look like toys. Energy shields that could stop any known weapon, missiles that could track targets across entire star systems, fighter ships that moved like they were alive. Sir, these new designs are incredible, said Colonel Pete Davis. Our smallest ships could probably defeat the alien dreadnoughts. Good, Sam said. But we're not building these to attack anyone. We're building them to make sure no one can attack us. The general was right to be careful. Intelligence reports showed that some alien species were becoming nervous about humanity's silence. A few had sent scout ships to try to find human colonies, but the new sensor technology made human installations invisible to alien detection systems. Meanwhile, the galactic economy continued to fall apart. The infrastructure problems that started when humans left were getting worse every month. Alien species that had never learned to maintain their own systems were discovering that replacement parts didn't exist. The Zephyrian government officially requested human assistance with their failing hospitals. The request was politely ignored. Zethkri's hive worlds were facing food shortages as their enhanced agricultural systems broke down. The Hive Queen sent 3 different diplomatic messages to Earth. All 3 were deleted without being read. Thar. Scaled Empire's communication network had collapsed completely. Messages between their worlds now took months to arrive. Kron himself tried to contact human leadership. His messages joined the growing pile of unread alien communications. Valdris and the Ethereal Collective were having their own problems. Their energy distribution systems had been partially designed by human engineers. Without human maintenance, power failures were becoming common across their territory. Dr. Amy Foster, now working in a human research facility, received a desperate message from her old alien colleague Dr. Vexith. The disease they had been studying was spreading, and the aliens couldn't finish the cure without her help. Amy showed the message to her new research partner, Dr. Helen Price. They want me to come back and save them. What are you going to do? Amy deleted the message. I'm going to continue working on the cure, but when we finish it, we'll decide who gets it and under what terms. 3 months later, Amy's team completed the cure using pure human science. It was better than anything they could have developed under alien supervision. The treatment worked faster, lasted longer, and had no side effects. But the aliens who needed it would have to wait. Humanity had learned that respect was not freely given. It had to be earned, or in this case, bought. The galaxy that had dismissed humans as simple workers was about to learn what humans could accomplish when they worked for themselves. And the lesson was going to be more expensive than they ever imagined. Zethkri stood in her throne room and looked at the reports scattered across her desk. 5 years had passed since the humans walked away from the Galactic Council. 5 years of growing problems that seemed to get worse every day. My queen, the food situation is getting critical, her advisor clicked nervously. 3 of our farming worlds are producing only half their normal crops. Without the human growing techniques, we cannot feed our population. Zethkri's 4 arms trembled with anger, not at her advisor, but at herself. She had been so proud when the humans left. Good riddance to the annoying little species that thought they deserved respect. Now her people were facing hunger because she had been too proud to learn how human agriculture actually worked. What about the other hive worlds? Similar problems, my queen. The enhanced soil treatments are failing. The automated harvesting systems keep breaking down. Our engineers say they need at least 2 more years to figure out how the human systems worked. 2 more years. Zethkri's people might not survive 2 more months if the food shortage continued. She had already received reports of riots on the outer worlds. Her own species was turning against itself because there wasn't enough to eat. Have we heard anything from the humans? Nothing, my queen. They ignore all our messages. Across the galaxy, Valdris floated in a chamber filled with dying light. The Ethereal Collective's power systems were failing more frequently. What had once been minor outages were now lasting for days at a time. The quantum resonance chambers are unstable, another energy being reported. Without the human-designed stabilizers, we cannot maintain proper energy flow. Valdris pulsed with frustration. The humans had seemed so crude, so physical. How could such simple beings have understood quantum energy better than a species made of pure energy itself? Can we not replicate their stabilizer technology? We have tried for 3 years. The human approach to quantum mechanics is completely different from ours. They somehow made energy behave in ways we thought impossible. The truth was embarrassing. Humans had solved energy distribution problems that the Ethereal Collective had struggled with for centuries. They had done it with simple machines and basic mathematics. Now those simple solutions were the only thing standing between the collective and complete power failure. Kron paced back and forth in his war room like a caged animal. The mighty scaled empire was crumbling from within. Without their communication, networks, military coordination was almost impossible. Supply lines were breaking down. Some outer worlds had declared independence because they couldn't contact the central government. "General, what news from the mining operations?" Kron growled. "Bad news, Emperor. Production is down 80% across all sectors. Our engineers still cannot operate the extraction systems the humans built. We are running out of the materials needed for ship construction and weapon manufacturing." Kron slammed his massive fist on the table, cracking the metal surface. His empire had been built on military strength, but strength meant nothing without the resources to maintain it. The humans had understood their mining technology better than anyone else. Now that knowledge was gone, and the empire was slowly starving. What about the scout missions to find human colonies? No success, Emperor. It appears the humans have developed stealth technology far beyond anything we possess. Our scouts cannot locate any human settlements, despite knowing the general areas where they should be. This was perhaps the most frightening development of all. The humans had simply vanished. An entire species had disappeared from galactic space, taking their knowledge and abilities with them. Where had they gone? What were they doing? The questions kept Kron awake at night. Ambassador Lynn Cooper sat in a small cafe on an alien space station and listened to the conversations around her. Officially, she was a human tourist who had been stranded when humanity withdrew from galactic space. In reality, she was one of dozens of human intelligence agents gathering information about the galaxy's declining condition. "The medical shipment from Proxima is 3 weeks overdue," one alien was saying to another. "The hospital is rationing pain medication because we can't get supplies." "At least you have a hospital," the other replied. "The medical facility on my world closed completely. Too many equipment failures to remain operational." Lynn made mental notes of everything she heard. The galaxy was falling apart faster than human leadership had expected. Critical infrastructure was failing. Supply chains were broken. Some species were facing shortages of basic necessities. She activated a hidden communicator and sent a coded message to Earth. The galactic decline was accelerating. It might be time for the next phase of humanity's plan. Counselor Rex Stone read Lynn's report in his office on Luna Base. Rex had been Jake Morrison's deputy during the failed negotiations 5 years ago. Now he was part of the team planning humanity's eventual return to galactic politics. "The situation is worse than we thought," Rex told his colleague Dr. Janet Wells. "Multiple species are facing critical shortages. Some are close to economic collapse." Janet nodded grimly. She had been monitoring galactic communications for 3 years, watching the slow decline of alien civilizations. "The medical crisis is particularly severe. At least 6 species are dealing with disease outbreaks they can't control without human-developed treatments. Any direct contact attempts? 17 species have sent unofficial representatives to try to find us. Most are offering significant concessions in exchange for limited human assistance. A few are hinting they might be willing to renegotiate our status in the galactic community." Rex smiled coldly. 5 years ago they laughed at us for wanting equal treatment. Now they're begging for our help. The irony was not lost on either of them. The species that had dismissed humans as simple workers were now discovering that those workers had been holding their civilizations together. Dr. Vexith sat alone in his laboratory, staring at equations he could not solve. The disease his species faced was spreading faster every day. Without Dr. Foster's research, thousands would die. He had sent dozens of messages begging for her help. All had been ignored. He had found references to human research that suggested they had completed the cure. The papers were published in human scientific journals that no alien species could access. The humans had the solution to his people's suffering, but they were keeping it to themselves. For the first time in his life, Dr. Vexith understood what it felt like to be powerless, to need help from someone who had no reason to provide it, to realize that pride could be more dangerous than any disease. Meanwhile, in human space, the expansion continued. New colonies were being established in resource-rich systems the aliens had never explored. Human technology continued advancing at a rapid pace. The species that had been dismissed as primitive was becoming more powerful every day. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson about the cost of arrogance. They had pushed away the one species that might have helped them solve their problems. Now that species had grown beyond their reach, and they were facing the consequences of their mistakes, alone, the fear was just beginning. Fleet Admiral Jack Turner stood on the observation deck of the massive space city and watched alien ships arrive. 10 years had passed since humanity walked away from the Galactic Council. 10 years of growth, innovation, and expansion that had transformed humans from a minor species into the most powerful force in the galaxy. The space city around him was proof of that transformation. New Geneva floated in the void between star systems, a gleaming monument to human achievement. The city housed 2 million people and contained technology that made alien civilizations look primitive. Anti-gravity platforms carried people between floating buildings. Energy shields protected the city from cosmic radiation. Matter converters turned asteroid rock into anything humans needed. "Admiral, the alien delegations are requesting permission to dock," his aide reported. Jack nodded. "Grant permission, but they dock at the outer ring with the other visitors, no special treatment." The alien ships looked tiny next to human vessels. Where once human ships had been crude metal boxes, now they were works of art. Human warships gleamed like silver knives, their hulls made of materials that could withstand direct hits from stellar bombardment. Their weapons could destroy planets. Their shields could deflect attacks from entire fleets. President Maria Santos prepared for the most important meeting of her life. She had been Earth's leader for 3 years, elected on a platform of human strength and independence. Today she would meet with representatives from 47 alien species, the same species that had laughed at humanity a decade ago. "Madam President, the security briefing is ready," her chief of staff said. Maria nodded. "How many species are represented?" "All of them. Even the ones who voted against ever speaking to humans again. They're all here." The irony was delicious. 10 years ago, humans had begged for a seat at the galactic table. Now the entire galaxy was begging for a chance to speak with humans. Dr. Carl Jensen walked through his research facility and marveled at what humanity had accomplished. His teams had solved problems that had puzzled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had developed medical treatments that could cure any disease. They had created materials stronger than anything in nature. They had built machines that could think faster than any organic brain. "Dr. Jensen, the immortality treatments are ready for final testing," his assistant reported. Carl smiled. Humans had conquered death itself while the aliens struggled with basic infrastructure problems. The species that had called human science primitive now faced extinction, while humans prepared to live forever. Captain Beth Adams commanded the newest class of human starship. Her vessel could travel from one side of the galaxy to the other in less than a day. It could operate underwater, in the vacuum of space, or inside the atmosphere of gas giants. The ship's artificial intelligence was smarter than most alien species' greatest philosophers. "Captain, we're receiving another distress call from the Zephyrian system," her communications officer reported. "What's the nature of their emergency?" "Medical crisis. Their population is dying from a plague they can't cure. They're offering to trade 3 star systems for human medical assistance." Beth considered this. 3 star systems. 10 years ago, the Zephyrians wouldn't have given humans permission to land on a single planet. Now they were offering to give up entire solar systems for help that humans could provide easily. "Send a reply. Tell them we'll consider their offer. Eventually." Director Steve Clark reviewed intelligence reports in his office on Earth. His agents were embedded throughout alien space, gathering information about the galaxy's continued decline. The reports made for fascinating reading. "Sir, the scaled empire has lost contact with 60% of their territory," his deputy reported. "Emperor Kron is requesting immediate human assistance with their communication systems. He's offering to make humanity equal partners in ruling the empire." Steve laughed. "Equal partners? We're already more powerful than his entire empire. What else?" The ethereal collective's power grid has collapsed completely. Valdris is offering to share their energy manipulation technology in exchange for human engineering support. And the hive worlds? Queen Zethkree's people are facing mass starvation. She's requesting an immediate meeting with President Santos. She's prepared to acknowledge human superiority in exchange for food aid. The same aliens who had dismissed humans as simple workers were now admitting that humans were superior. The transformation was complete. Zethkree waited in the docking bay of New Geneva and tried not to show her desperation. Her once proud hive had been reduced to begging for scraps from the species she had mocked. Half her people were starving. Her military was in ruins. Her technology was failing. The human who met her was not what she expected. Captain Adams looked young and confident. She wore a uniform that seemed to be made of liquid metal. Her weapons were small but radiated power that made Zethkree's chitin itch with fear. "Queen Zethkree," Captain Adams said politely, "welcome to human space. President Santos will see you shortly." "Thank you." Zethkree clicked weakly. "I hope we can reach an understanding that benefits both our species." Captain Adams smiled, but it wasn't a friendly expression. "I'm sure you do follow me." The meeting hall was bigger than Zethkree's throne room. Representatives from every major alien species sat in chairs arranged in a circle. At the center of the circle was a single raised platform where President Santos would speak. When Yu, the human president, entered, Zethkree was struck by how calm she appeared. This was not someone begging for acceptance. This was someone who held all the power and knew it. "Welcome to New Geneva," President Santos said. Her voice was clear and strong. 10 years ago, humanity asked to join the galactic community as equals. You refused. You told us to accept our place as servants and workers. You laughed at our science, dismissed our culture, and treated us like animals. The alien representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Several avoided looking directly at the human president. Today, you come to us with a different message. You need our help. Your civilizations are failing, your people are dying, your technology is broken, and you want us to fix it. President Santos paused and looked around the room. We are willing to help, but not as your servants, not as your workers, and certainly not as your equals. Valdris pulsed with confusion. Then, what are you proposing? President Santos smiled. We are proposing that you accept your place in the new galactic order, an order where humanity leads and you follow, where human science guides galactic development, where human wisdom shapes galactic policy. The silence in the room was complete. These were species that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. The idea of following humans was almost unthinkable. The alternative, President Santos continued, is for you to solve your problems alone. We will continue building our civilization in our own space. You are welcome to continue destroying yours in your space. Kron was the first to speak. The proud warrior's voice was barely a whisper. What? What are your terms? Full recognition of human authority in all matters of science, technology, and interspecies relations. Reparations for the resources and opportunities you denied us over the past 50 years. And a formal apology from each species for your treatment of humanity. The terms were harsh but not impossible. More importantly, they were the only hope the alien species had for survival. One by one, the representatives of 47 species agreed to humanity's demands. The galaxy that had once dismissed humans as primitive workers now formally acknowledged human superiority. As the meeting ended, President Santos looked out at the stars visible through the station's windows. Humanity had traveled a long journey, from those first hopeful attempts at galactic diplomacy. The species that had walked away in shame now stood as the undisputed masters of the galaxy. The talks had failed, but humanity had succeeded beyond anyone's imagination. And the galaxy would never underestimate humans again.